Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. The title sponsor of Manny Talks Shooting is Go Fast Don't Suck. So if you need match banners for your match, check them out. They also have an awesome selection of pre-designed and customable jerseys. Don't forget, they are the home of the dry fire decals for your walls, so get those too. They've also got a plethora of patches and stickers that are hilarious and true. You know, Go Fast Don't Suck has a lot of things that you'll need on the range and off, so please check them out at gofastdon'tsuck.net. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Manny Talks Shooting. Today I'm sitting down with a guy introduced to me earlier this year that you will like to get to know. That's Mr. Trey Ward. Trey, how you doing today, sir?
Good, Alex. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Thank you for sitting down with me on this good Sunday evening, and we're gonna have a good time, I can feel.
Absolutely.
But anyway, for most people who probably don't know you, I met Trey earlier this year at the Michigan Sectional. At least I remember putting a name to the face, but it's all good. So Trey, for people who really don't know you, who are you and how'd you get into shooting?
Yeah, I would probably guess that most folks outside of Ohio have no idea who I am. I got into shooting fairly recently. I didn't grow up around guns or anything like that at all. I probably can count on one hand how many times I shot a gun before joining the military. Was decent with a rifle, shot a pistol once and sucked. It was pretty rough. So I got out of the military 2019, and then moved here to Ohio where I'm at now in 2020. And I kind of just fell into it. I was looking for a part-time job while I was starting college up. Found Midwest Shooting Center here in Ohio, and I just went to go work there as a part-time range counter guy, checking people in and out of the range, and met quite a few people that were pretty deep into shooting, and they kind of bullied me into it after a while. So 2021, I kind of dabbled into USPSA a little bit because they were starting to host a couple matches at Midwest. The first match I went to, Bob Vogel was squatted with me. So that was a pretty big eye opener as to what good shooting actually looked like. I would say 2022 was probably like my first actual season shooting. I went to Area 5 up in your neck of the woods in Michigan that year. Did okay. I think it was like right after I made A class. And then this year, 2023 was, my first year really getting into major matches. I think I shot 5 or 6 majors this year. Moved up to master class in January of 23. And have been pretty much full steam ahead ever since.
Oh yeah, very cool. That's kind of surprising. So you started at Midwest. They bullied you enough to come shoot the matches. I'm assuming that's in the Lima location.
Yep.
Okay.
Cridersville, just south of Lima, where I live at.
Okay. Yeah, there's not. You search Midwest Shooting Center now, and there's like a million of them. It's like, Lord.
Yeah, we got quite a few of them now.
Yeah, that's all good. No, so that was kind of cool. So you started, working the range, the range counter. I'm assuming that's, rental guns and range time, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was, didn't really have to have a whole lot of gun knowledge at the time there. It was look at driver's licenses, check people into a range, get them a rental gun, check them back out. So I was probably that annoying gun store employee for a little bit that had no idea what was even really all in the store. But I wasn't annoying enough to like BS my way through it. I would at least find the right people that knew what they were talking about for certain questions that would arise.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's better than giving, the bullshit rhetoric and, passing along something,
Yeah.
right? So that's
good. I've been into some of those gun shops, and after kind of learning my way around it, and it's a little frustrating. So I definitely understand it.
Right. So would you consider yourself a gun guy, or would you consider yourself a competitor?
At first, I thought I was a gun guy because I liked guns. Like even not growing up around them, I was always interested in them. Even in the military, like I was watching all the Garand Thumb videos and that kind of stuff. And then when I got out, I bought my first gun in 2020. Like I bought like a used like Gen 3 Glock 19 or something like that, and kind of went down the hill of buying a bunch of guns and trying stuff out. But once I got, actually into shooting a lot more, I definitely realized that I was a lot more of a shooting guy than a gun guy.
Hmm. Right. Yeah, and that's what I kind of find with the people, at least in the USPSA competitive space is like
Hmm.
we like guns, but it's not like we're like, oh, I got to go buy this gun and this gun. It's like, no, we'd rather just go spend our time and energy
Yeah,
in buying ammo and training and not being like, oh, I want this the flavor of the week. I know my budget can't
yeah,
afford the flavor of the week.
not even a little bit. No, it's barely affording the ammo, let alone the flavor of the week.
Right, exactly. So that's kind of cool. So did you stay at Midwest working the gun counter, or did you move around in there, or did you end up leaving, or?
So I was at Midwest for probably 2.5 years or so.
Mhm.
Was just working the range counter for a little bit, and then a good friend of mine, Matt Lamakin, was one of the instructors there, and he pulled me out to the range with him to like help out with CCW classes and that kind of stuff. So that's where I kind of got introduced into I guess what you could call a little more performance shooting in a
Mhm.
way. Up until Sam Patel started running the actual matches at Midwest. I think I started on like Thursday nights or something like that at first. Did those a little bit, and yeah, just shot up from there. I haven't worked in Midwest for about a year and a half now. Just since I graduated college, ended up getting a big boy job. But I'm definitely still very much affiliated with Midwest. I'm there all the time. I represent the team out at matches and whatnot. So
I mean, you and everyone who's got a Midwest shirt. No, I'm not. It's funny
yeah,
because like you see the sea of blue of Midwest. Well, I
yep,
mean, there it is a new color blue now. Well, it's like a two color
yep,
blue. So I got very fortunate at the end of last year to meet Kevin Jones. I don't know if you've met Kevin. He's
hmm,
kind of a bigger guy,
yep,
but I'm like, oh look it, you're part of the Colts too, because he came up
yep,
to my indoor range up in Ann Arbor, and I was like, oh my
yeah,
god, you guys are spreading and spread, but it's I make fun of y'all, but it's
yep.
just more funny. Like even at Buckeye last year, is Sam and Midwest put a lot of money into Buckeye last year. There was a lot of Midwest
Hmm.
shooters there,
Oh, there's a ton
and
of
then
us there.
there was just squads of them. I'm just like, Lord have mercy.
Hmm.
And I always made the joke of, did Sam get a really good deal on all these shirts? But
We got
there's
to start
that.
getting our own now.
Yeah.
Fun
Well, I
party
mean, I could
time's over.
understand
We had too many people. Now we got to get our own.
the mass printing kind of works too, right? Like it's like, all right, everyone wants a different name on it,
Yeah.
but it kind of works. It's like, get your order in now so we can just make make them. But nah, that's
Yep.
all good.
Exactly.
No, but
Yeah, it's been fun.
yeah, so that's kind of cool. So you got a real big boy job. That still doesn't mean you
Yep.
have time or money for ammo. It's
No.
never easy.
My
But
weekend's freed up. That's about it.
yeah, no, mine are iffy at best. It's either I'm doing something like this or I still got to work the weekend or well, work up Saturday.
Yep.
Working in manufacturing is not all fun and games. But
Yep. That's what I'm doing now is working in manufacturing.
yeah, it's not terrible. The money is pretty good, but hey. Anyway, um, so you said right out of the military, you bought that used Gen 3 Glock 19.
Hmm.
Did you shoot that a bit, or did you go buy something else right after that?
I shot that thing quite a bit. I mean, I shot probably my first 2 or 3 matches with it or so. I ended up buying another Glock off of a friend, one of the Gen 5 Glocks. I think it was like a Glock 45. Shot that for a little bit. And then Sam had a whole bunch of the 320s that were all decked out. Got my hands on a couple of those, and one of them came into the store, bought a 320, decked out a little bit, got some Gray Guns goodies on it, and I've been running with that ever since.
Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, the gray guns was. I'm assuming it's got a gray guns upper and then a trigger kit in it. Then
Hmm. Yep.
yeah, yeah. The gray gun stuff is pretty cool. I won't lie about that. I've been trying to
Hmm.
build out my wife's limited optics / carry optics gun.
Yep.
Since I've gotten it for her, and I was like, Lord, there's so many different things. My biggest complaint about that gun is the fact that right under the beaver tail is super wide compared to other guns, and it's just so chonky.
Yeah.
Some people have said, you can go to an AXG grip and it's a little bit narrower, but
Hmm.
I like the feel of the tungsten.
Yeah, I do too. My brother's got one of the AXG guns because he's started getting into the sport this year.
Hmm.
So he got one of them. It's a little bit thinner. I use the tungsten grips, and there's nothing a Dremel can't fix. That's for sure.
Yeah, same here. I just haven't gotten balls to actually end up doing it yet. Because I don't want to hear,
Yeah.
I messed up that grip, and I'm not really wanting to replace a TXG grip.
Yeah, it's not like grabbing a regular like $30 plastic one by any means. They're a little more pricey when you start messing with those.
Yeah, exactly. And the one thing is because hers isn't like a X5 Legion. Well, it is, but it's not like the it's not the full size gun. It's the carry model.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the
Oh, I
3.9
got
inch
you.
barrel with the 3.9
Yep.
inch threaded barrel, which is really like a 4.5. So I
Mm-hmm.
had to get her a new recoil system because that thing, like out of the box, was oversprung. And I'm like, I had
Yeah.
hard times racking it, but now it's better. But no, now with people who talk, like you shoot the 320, Josh Espinoza
Mm-hmm.
shoots the 320 pretty like regular.
Yep.
You guys are localish. Have you ever ended up having any of these issues that people say about on the internet?
I haven't seen any. I personally haven't had any of the problems. I see posts about them quite a bit, but yeah, I have yet to come across them, and I don't think I've met anyone who's run into a problem with it yet. Um, I'm not really emotionally attached to any of them. If mine fails, I'll go buy something else. If it doesn't, then I'll keep running it. But doesn't make a difference to me either way. A gun's a gun. It's gonna do whatever I want it to.
Right. Yeah. Well, and a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, so and so said this." I'm like, "Well, did yours blow up?" Well, no. So
Yeah,
running.
exactly.
I mean,
Like
you've
I've
put
been
money
using
and
the
time into
same
it.
one for a while, and I was like,
Yeah.
if mine hasn't blown up by now after the abuse it's had over the last 2 years, I think I'll be all right.
Do you have a backup gun though?
Not yet. I'm working on putting one together now, but I've been beating the crap out of the same one for the last 2 years now. So a backup gun definitely needs to be in the works because I've got a few majors on the list for this year, and that would be a little rough if it goes down.
Yeah, I just they always just say the one is none, two is one kind of philosophy.
Yep.
For me, that's a little more expensive in open guns, but
yeah, opens another game completely.
Yeah, I mean, or you're just like Sam, who's got a Phoenix Fast Redback or something, some bougie, absolute bougie gun, and it's like, Sam, where'd you get that?
Oh yeah. Yep.
It's all good. Yeah, it's always a good thing. So you're still rocking the 320, which is awesome. You're actually running a holster that a lot of people don't know about, but it seems to be catching on now. But what is that?
Yeah, I've had it for. I've actually got it here.
Oh yeah, you can show it. I mean,
I've had it for. There we go. Yeah, so this guy, Big Dog Steel carnivore competition holster.
Yeah, and that's
I've had
3D
that.
printed.
Yeah, it's 3D printed. I don't know the material off the top of my head, but it's 3D printed. It's definitely lighter than any of the other Kydex holsters that I've used. The locking mechanism on it is the best out of any of them that I've used so far as like a closed top holster goes. It's been phenomenal. They're a company that's local to me. They're just right down the road in St. Mary's. I met them through Sam because they did all the steel in the walls inside Midwest when we were stealing off all the walls so we could actually shoot 180-degree matches in there. Sam got hooked up with them and they collabed on that holster. I had the prototype about halfway through 22, used that for a while, and then I got the new one that's the actual production one, and it's phenomenal. I mean, it's by far my favorite that I've used for sure.
Yeah, because I want to think Sam was the first one I ever seen with one, which now it's kind of taken off. Isaac's using one, Tom's using one, so I can see where it's going to go up and up. Definitely adjustable with the retention, I think, on the front, and then you've got the locking mechanism on the trigger.
So it's got that thumb screw on it where you can pretty much adjust it however much you want. And then the locking mechanism just hooks onto the trigger guard so that it can't come out. And then once it's unlocked, I mean, there's no, I know Steve Anderson's big on the no hitching, no binding with, whatever CR speed, I think it is, race holsters. But yeah, with that, there's legitimately nothing. I mean, that gun is coming out on ball bearings. It's ridiculous.
Right. So if you forgot to unlock it, could you pull it out?
No, it's not coming out.
So it's one of those, if you forgot to unlock it, you have to be like, fuck, I got to actually move my hand again, unlock it, and then do a draw. Okay. It's kind of the same.
Yeah, because when you push that button down, there's an actual tab that's coming out and locking over the trigger guard so that it can't come up. As opposed to just like kind of squeezing it, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. No, the one, One decent thing I will say about, if you forget if you lock a vice holster, you could pull through the
Hmm.
vice holster. It still is a bitch, but it can be done.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
I had one of Lace GX holsters for a little bit first before I got these, and
mhm.
that's probably the second best holster I've ever used. That was my favorite holster until I got my hands on this one from Sam, and then it was just another level up. But no, I like Lace holsters a lot. They're
Mhm.
they're great also. Lace is a good friend. He makes a good product.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. He definitely does. And I see that your big dog steals on a Henning T1000, which is the appropriate hanger for everything. Everyone needs a
Yeah, I
T1000.
actually just got that. I haven't shot a match with it yet. That's brand new. I've been playing around with that. Um, I got that because I was looking at the magnetic mag pouches also, and
Mhm.
I finally like cracked and broke my front mag pouch that I had. It was just one of like the double alpha ones that I got from Sam,
Mhm.
and I was like, all right, well, I keep seeing everybody use these, so I'll try one. And then they had the hangers on there too.
Mhm.
Might as well. I'm already here, so I picked them both up. They've been
Yeah.
great. I like them both so far.
Yeah, I use them both as well. I use the T900 and the T1000 as well.
Yep.
It's super nice because I took a Tom class. I hosted him in August, and it was like that
Hmm.
part. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch your draws and whatnot. I'm gonna fix your crap." And he's like,
Hmm.
my gun position or the angle of my gun needed to be a little different. So I handed him the freaking ball Allen key head. I'm like, he's like, "Oh,
Hmm.
I wish everything was that easy to adjust, because
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
it's like so
Yeah, I've
many
gotten
different,
spoiled.
yeah." But the T900s, I
I've
love
gotten,
them. The only thing I complain about a T900 is the fact that I used to use exclusively was the double alpha dry fire mags.
hmm.
But I call it pot metal. I don't know what alloy they're using that's magnetic inside of
Hmm.
them. It doesn't stick to the T900 because the T900's magnets are so
Yeah,
small.
I've heard that.
That's the only complaint I have about, it's like dang it, I can't use these, but it's like it's okay because,
Hmm.
all my mags are metal. Now, if you're a Glock guy, you absolutely cannot use T900s.
Yeah, I was wondering that too because I don't have a USPSA Glock set up anymore, but I was wondering if they made one for the Glocks, but I didn't see how it would really work that well.
Well, if you use MBX mags, it could work, like the Glock
Yeah,
MBX
the
mags.
Glock
But like if
MBX
you're using
mags.
OEM mags or Magpool or ETS, no, you absolutely
Not
can't
gonna
use them.
work.
No,
Yep.
no. But no. So, but I like those products too. Because
Hmm.
I switched out all my pouches for Hennings. So, but here nor there. I mean, gear's
Yep.
gear. It's all personal preference in my opinion as well. But if you find something you like and it works, run it. Um,
Yep.
I will say, if people want to spend on them, buy them. I mean, they're good quality. There
Hmm.
may or may not be discount codes out there on the internet though too.
Yeah. There you go.
But
Yeah, I
that's
mean the
cool.
gear is one of those things you can really take it or leave it. I mean,
Hmm.
even when I started, I was shooting a Glock out of a Safari Lane holster on a Blue Alpha gear belt and like STAC mag pouches, and it
Yes, it was
I
tactical,
wasn't
but
good
it
enough
was
for it to
it was
matter at the point.
it's better than showing up with an Uncle Mike's holster, or
That's
and
very
two.
true.
Like
That's very true.
you at least were indoctrinated enough to go out and have good gear, right? Safari Land
Right.
good holster, right? Good belt, decent mag
Yep.
pouches for what we're doing, all right? They're not
Yep.
ideal, not let me put this ideal in a sense. So if everyone listening to the audio
Yeah.
version, I did do air quotes, but way better than somebody showing up with very unsafe gear. So,
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, as long as the gear is serviceable for what you need to do. Like
mhm.
right now, if you gave me the tactical gear and then you gave me B class 2 years ago this gear, I
Mhm.
would still kick the B class kids ass. So
Mhm.
get good with the gear you have.
Right, yeah, exactly. I I'd rather someone show up in a whole tactical rig. Well, I
Hmm.
can't say this. I mean, I have seen some scary people with tactical rigs.
Yeah,
Um,
some of the tactical rigs, air quotes, they get a little out there. That's for sure.
well, it's not even that the tactical rig is the thing I question. I think it's more questioning the person and their level of
Yep.
of safety. But here nor
Right.
there. I can't say I have to rephrase it. I won't say I'll take somebody with tactical gear all the time because that's actually
That's
not true.
fair. That's a
But
fair judgment.
but
Yep.
anyway, so your prime you only shoot carry optics.
Yeah. So far, I've only been shooting carry optics, mainly because it's pretty much most representative of everything that I actually carry. I think I shot my first couple matches with production because I didn't have a dot on it yet. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just download my mags to 10 and shoot production
Mm-hmm.
until I got, a dot gun. And then, yeah, I've been running with carry optics ever since, about 2.5 years now.
Yeah. Any aspirations of at least getting classified in limited optics?
I've thought about it. I might, find one of like the six classifier matches or whatever, the all classifiers, and go dabble in it just with my carry optics rig,
Mm-hmm.
and just see where I land. If one of those matches, fits into the schedule at some point, I'll probably do that. Um, but yeah, so far I've been running in carry optics for a while. It seems like that's still where most of at least around me, where most of the competition is, and the guys that I want to shoot against. So I've been running in there for now.
Right now, speaking of matches, besides Midwest, what is your? Because Midwest is only in the wintertime. Where do
Mm-hmm.
you normally shoot for your local matches?
Yeah, local matches. I bounce around a few of them here in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
I go down to Miamisburg every once in a while, down around Cincinnati. I've
Mm-hmm.
shot there. Miami Rifle Pistol Club. That's another good one. Chris Keene puts on that match. Really good match. I'll go down to Oxford, Ohio, and shoot Joey Sauerland's match. He puts on a fantastic match every week or every. I think it's the first Sunday of every month. I think he
Yep.
does that. I've gone down to the ones at Cardinal a few times. Usually before like a major match, I'll try to make one down there, just to kind of get reacquainted with the bays and all that. And then a couple times I've gone over to Indiana to the Atlanta Conservation Club, and shot one of their matches there because I think that's the same week as the one down in Miamisburg. And for me, it's like the exact same distance down to about a minute drive. So
Right.
they put on a great match there also.
So if you had to say what's your average drive time for a local match?
Probably average, roughly outside of Midwest because that's like 15 minutes down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Probably average about an hour and a half
Okay. Yeah, it
if I had
seems
to
about
guess.
right. And if I'm not been mistaken, you sometimes will go up to Wasion. Or have you?
I've gone
Okay.
to Wasion twice, 2 or 3 times, I think,
Okay.
to shoot up
Usually, if
there.
I see Sam is there, like I've got a couple buddies who will end up going.
hmm
Usually, it's on a weekend that I'm typically not planning on shooting, and my buddies will go down there. So every
Yep.
time I see Sam there, it's usually a couple of you all. It's like you,
Yep.
Sam, Eldritch. So there's definitely plenty of people
Yep.
who will
Josh
roam
Eldridge
around.
goes up there.
Yeah, that's got to be
A
a
lot of the
long clip
Midwest
for him.
Toledo, a lot of the Midwest Toledo guys go there, like Alex Kapelski and Kevin that you talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Willman, one of the guys that I met right when I started at Midwest. They'll go up there pretty much every month.
Gotcha. No, that's kind of cool. Now, what was I gonna say? I ended up saying, but anyway, it's oh. So I guess so. Do you find that you're gonna travel with people, or you just decide I'm gonna go to this match and whoever shows up shows up?
Kind of a mix of both. Like I'll kind of put some matches on my radar, like in the beginning of the year,
Mm-hmm.
and usually at this point I can pick out at least 2 or 3 people that are going to be traveling also.
Mm-hmm.
Like I end up with Josh Espinoza and Jake Walker at pretty much every major match that I go to now. Sam goes to quite a few of them that I go to. Josh Eldridge and Jose Rossi. We usually got quite a few majors that we'll go around to.
Mm-hmm.
This year I'm going down to Florida in 2 weeks. I think. I think it's the Florida sectional or something like that. Um, Down in Clearwater, Florida. I'm driving down there. One of my buddies from my old platoon in the military is shooting that match.
Mm.
So I'm going to drive down there and shoot that with him.
It's a long drive down to Florida.
Yeah, that's gonna be a haul. That'll definitely be the longest that I've traveled by far to go shoot a match.
Are you going down by yourself then? And then
hmm
are you gonna go straight through, or are you gonna stop at least?
I'm more than likely going to drive straight through on the way down,
Mm-hmm.
just so we can get like set up at his house and go to the range, see some of the stages beforehand. On the way back, I might make a couple stops. I have some family in Florida that moved there recently. That's a little bit north of that, and then I've got a little bit of family in Georgia that I might stop and see also on the way back.
Oh, okay. So it's not like, oh, I'm gonna freaking haul the mail down there and haul the mail back. So
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to try to break it up at least a little bit on the way back.
Hmm. Well, that's always good. It makes the trip a little more, memorable too. It's not like, oh, I spent all my
Yep.
time in a car, and I got to
Yeah,
shoot for like 2
exactly.
minutes.
Exactly. Drive 14 hours, shoot 2 minutes, drive 14 hours.
Yeah, could always be worse, I guess, too. So, so last year, you said you shot, like 5 or 6 majors. It seemed like, you know,
Hmm.
um, you had like I remember the Michigan sectional. Were you there for Area 5?
I was there for Area 5. Yep.
Okay, and then you also said you shot Illinois. Did you end up shooting
Hmm.
Indiana?
I did not shoot Indiana last year. No. I
Okay.
think it was a work schedule
Mm,
conflict or something like that, if I remember right.
gotcha. Now, which performance were you most proud of last year?
I would definitely say Area 5, because that was my first major that I ever went to in 22. That was the only one that I shot that year, and that was kind of one where, in typical Sam fashion, he bullied me into it. So I said, "All right," and I went. I think I finished somewhere like mid 40s or something like that. Middle of the pack, like 68, 69%, something like that. And then this year I went and finished eighth. So I was
Yeah,
definitely pretty happy with that.
yeah, nothing wrong with finishing better than you did the first time. But I'm
Yep.
going to leisurely, casually find your name on the 2022 roster and see
Yeah.
how improved it was. Yeah, so go Ward. Yeah,
Yeah. I want to say it was like,
65.9%. And
yeah,
that
it was
match was
pretty
very
rough.
difficult. That match was very difficult.
Yeah, it was rough.
So not to throw you in the dirt, it was 279
Oh, I was brand
alphas,
new.
74 Charlies, 5 deltas. That's still pretty good. 5 deltas, 7
Yeah.
mics, 1 no penalty mic, and 2 no shoots. So not a terrible score.
Not too
Not
bad. Not
no, it
too
was,
bad for the first time.
yeah, definitely could have been a hell of a lot worse now. So if we go,
Yep.
we'll go to Area 5, 2023. Definitely way. Come on, there you go. Definitely a way improved.
Yep.
Oh Lord, I gotta actually sort it though. That's not fun. Why do I gotta do this? It's me and my silliness. Yeah. So yeah, went to eighth. Second. Looks like I'm
Hmm.
second master behind Jake. So and
Yep.
you didn't lose too much to Jake. It was only about a little less than 3%. So
Yeah, it was pretty close.
you didn't. You weren't shooting with Jake directly, were you? You were shot. You on different
No, I
squad.
shot earlier. So I shot uh, Friday or yeah, Friday, Saturday
Okay.
instead of Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. Did you end up shooting with like Jose and stuff then?
I don't think I had any of the Midwest guys in my squad,
Mm.
but I was squatted with Scott Rader and a couple other guys from SIG. So that
Oh
was pretty
yeah.
fun. I got to meet some of those guys.
Yeah. Scott and I can't remember the other guy's name. It beats the pants off of me or something. I think he shot.
Samuel, I think, something like that.
Yeah, if I remember right, I think he shot limited optics or something.
He
Yep,
shot LO.
yep, there, yep. I found him now.
But yeah, that first day before the rest of the super squad guys came around and just wrecked everybody.
Mm,
That first group, Scott and I were pretty much going back and forth stage for stage the entire time.
hmm.
So that was pretty fun. That he is ridiculously good. I was amazed. He is fast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna see him at a couple. I think we'll see him at a couple matches down in the Midwest this year, so that's kind of cool as well.
Yep.
Um, so your first major match was 2022 Area 5, a teeth kicker
Hmm.
of a match. It seemed like, then
Yeah.
you compare it to 2023. Well, one, your skills have improved,
Hmm.
tremendously, and then did you feel it was a better match? Did you feel it was a better match?
I thought the match difficulty was fairly comparable, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think in that time, I just learned a lot more about my own shooting and where I wanted to get better at. And that match I just found really played to a lot of my strengths. I mean, I was able to move a lot, um, getting in and out of positions pretty aggressively while shooting. That match rewarded that quite a bit. It rewarded some shooting on the move, which was something that I worked on a lot in that last year. So it rewarded a lot of my strengths, I would say, which was probably a huge factor in the big jump in match placement.
Yeah, absolutely. Learning the training and, you develop and you can hone your skills and
Yep.
definitely a good way to go and do it right. But that you ended the
hmm
year shooting Illinois.
hmm
Looks like you came in seventh and 88%. So to Jake,
Yep.
Jake won the match. Jake's now a GM, so it's just kind of cool for him.
Yeah, Jake is that dude's ridiculous. So he's definitely been one that I've been chasing since I've gotten to meet him for sure.
Definitely a good guy to shoot with and hang out with. But yeah, definitely a good guy.
Yep.
And him and even his group of people he hangs out with, they're very good guys. They like to get better and train.
Yep.
So I'm not one to sit and geek out on training talk, but
hmm
they always have good conversations that I hear, and then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna turn you off
Yep.
because my brain can't handle all this talk.
Yeah. a little bit of drinking from the fire hose there after a while.
Well, sometimes it's just like, Lord, have mercy. I'm here to have fun. I don't need to talk training
Yeah.
99.99% of the time.
Exactly.
But
We'll do that later.
exactly. But so you shot Illinois. Did you end up shooting
hmm
on the last day of Illinois, or did you shoot like on Saturday?
Yeah, I shot the last day.
Okay. Now, do you
Yep.
feel that you'd rather shoot on the last rotation of the match, or does it not matter to you?
I don't think it really matters a ton. I've kind of played around with that a little bit, like afternoon squads, morning squads, a couple days before, like earlier in the match, or shoot like the last day. I found that at least for me, I haven't really noticed a huge difference. But that could also be because I'm not really one to track scores during the match either.
Hmm.
So I don't like pull up stages and see what other people shot, hit factor wise or time wise. Um, so in part just because I'm not much of a hit factor, math guru. I know some guys can walk up to a stage and estimate how long it's going to take them to shoot it, and estimate what the hit factor is going to be. I have
Hmm.
no idea how to do any of that. I show up, put a plan together, and shoot it, and see what happens. Pretty much, it's been working so far.
Hmm. Well, that's good. Yeah, I don't see much myself as well to like check practice score and track scores as much as I
hmm
do. Maybe sometimes I get a little bit too much in the weeds about, hey, what was your hit factor on that stage or whatnot? Like even at a
hmm
normal match. But sometimes I do and don't care. It's just like it's like all right,
Yeah.
I don't need to worry. Um, Now, when you shoot, do you typically, when you're on a squad, like even at a local match, do you feel that you are the best one on the squad, or that you're fighting with somebody, for the best person on the squad typically?
I try not to be the best person on the squad as far as like who I'm squatting with,
Hmm.
because that I have actually noticed will affect my performance a little bit. Like if I put myself in a squad, with a bunch of folks that aren't necessarily at the same level, maybe they're just, especially like a local matches that they're just there kind of having fun or whatever and aren't really competing to win.
Hmm.
I might look like a stud amongst those guys, but since there's really no push from anyone else, I don't really feel the push. And then I'll think I crushed it the whole match. I'll look at scores at the end of the match and it's like, wow, okay, well I finished fifth. What the heck?
Hmm.
Um, but then I'll squad with those guys that are around the same level or better, and we're competing the entire time. Going back and forth, trading blows on every stage, and my performance definitely is a lot better when I'm surrounded by other guys that are at that same level. Like Illinois is a perfect example of that. I think our squad had 7 of the top 10 spots in carry optics, out of like the 11 or 12 of us. And it was all of us were just back and forth the entire time.
Hmm. Well, that is definitely cool, right? When you can all share, all trade blows, just do really
hmm
well, and you know,
Yep.
um, I myself agree. I don't like to always be the best guy on the squad, especially at major matches.
Yeah.
You like somebody who can, you can judge pace or judge points kind of thing.
hmm
But when you are the best guy on the squad, you're out kind of in no man's land at some point,
Yeah. And I
especially
like
when
to
you.
bounce ideas off of people also, like stage plan wise.
Mhm.
If you're the best guy in the squad, it kind of turns into like, what's he going to do? Okay, we're going to copy that. Instead of, when you're surrounded by a bunch of guys that are around the same level, you can kind of bounce stage plan ideas off of each other. Like, okay, why are you doing this? What strength of yours does that play to? And you can kind of put together, at least in my opinion, I've been able to put together, better plans out of that as well.
Right. Right, yeah, and you get the better plans. You can figure out why you're doing this compared to this.
Yeah.
You get into the methodical questions, which I do like to
hmm
ask people instead of being, yeah, it's like, or then you screw up the plan, and then you're like, well, don't do what I did because You're gonna,
Exactly.
just do what I did, but better. Don't mess up like I did.
Exactly. It was a good plan, I promise. I just sucked at it. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that. I had an indoor match up here in Ann Arbor. I knew the
Hmm.
plan. I knew what the right plan was. For some reason, I was supposed to go shoot 10 rounds at this in this array. I only shot
Hmm.
6, and I'm like, why did I do this? So, and then I had to run back, and I lost like 3. Well, it was maybe like 2 seconds on the whole stage, but it became
Yeah.
super choppy at that point. I was like, oh, this is horrible, and
Yep.
it inevitably it cost me the win on the overall match. I mean, but
Yep.
you win some, you lose some, I guess, on that. But
Yep. That's a
yeah.
lesson a lot better learned at a local anyway.
Yeah, especially indoors when you're,
Hmm.
the one thing I love about shooting indoors is the fact that I can keep the rust off. These people
Yeah.
go into these winter breaks, like even up here, people go into
Hmm.
these winter breaks, and then the first match of the year is always like they're like, oh man, this is terrible. I've been dry firing, but
Hmm.
I haven't been behind the gun. But it's a wake up for a lot of people too. They're like, oh, I got to train
Hmm.
again or get back into it. So it's definitely
Yeah, that's
yeah.
one area where I'm definitely very spoiled having Midwest around me because I mean it's 15 minutes down the road. I don't know if you've seen the facility or not that we have down here, but I mean it is basically an outdoor match inside.
Hmm.
They're it's nuts.
Yeah, that is definitely a cool thing that a lot of people don't get around here. We can't
Right.
have we don't have that in most ranges, which is cool. Is that
Yep.
Sam decided to invest in that um, into that to have a 180 bay or
Yep.
180 ish bays for the like I think they've got the big. It's one big like warehouse looking part, right, and then it's got
Hmm.
indoor. The other stages are on actual indoor ranges, right?
Yeah, so there's two bays that you can shoot like 180 degrees in, and then there's the one big, like, kind of warehouse looking room. I
Hmm.
think it's like 270 degrees in some spots. So you
Hmm.
can set up stages like even facing different ways with different berms almost,
Hmm.
depending on how you set them up. I mean, it's crazy the kind of stuff we can do in there.
Yeah, no doubt. That is freaking crazy. Now, I'm assuming you're a member of Midwest still.
Yep.
So recently, it looks like I don't think it's the last couple of matches. Midwest has raised the prices to $50 for non-members and
Yep.
$30 for members. I haven't talked to Sam about this, but maybe you know the reasoning why that happened.
Um, I think a lot of it was just because of how much it takes away from the business itself. Um,
Hmm.
Especially when we're doing, now since we're doing it 2 weekends in a row, mainly because we would get so many people. Like when we were only doing it one weekend, we were already kind of splitting it up into a morning squad and an afternoon squad, so that we could get people through. And it would still, like, the match would open and it would fill up like nationals. I mean,
Hmm.
instantly, spots are gone. Um, so then they started doing it 2 weekends in a row where it's still the same match both weekends. And then we basically have a morning squad and an afternoon squad 2 weekends in a row. So it was just taking a lot of range time away from like the other, members of the range that are just
Hmm.
coming to, shoot on a regular lane because they do make a pretty decent amount of money out of that.
Hmm.
So I think it was just now that we're doing it 2 weekends in a row, it was like, okay, well, you know, we have a potential to lose quite a bit, on this by not putting people there because now we have this bay that's used for the entire day for 2 weeks. So I think in part some of that was just to kind of make up some of the ground on the business side of it, at least to my knowledge.
Right. I
I'm
didn't
sure
know if
there's
like
other
they
factors that went into it.
I didn't know if they shared maybe more at the shooters briefs or why to tell their shooters why it was kind of happening. But yeah, I can see that as well. Now, I guess the question
Yeah.
is, since you can only sign up for one time slot on one of the weekends, is it the same
Hmm.
match for 2 weekends?
Yeah, it's the same match. It's the same match.
Okay.
So like they're doing the first, like, so today they shot the first, morning and afternoon squad, and then next Sunday when I'm shooting it, there's another morning and afternoon group, and that all is combined into one big match. All the stages are exactly the same, so that way we can get more people through. So basically, we have 2 weeks of the January match, and
Yeah.
that'll be at least as of right now, that'll be the format going forward.
Gotcha. Now, what ways do they do to preserve the integrity of the stages? Since you know
they got to pretty much tear them all down. It's not like they
Hmm.
can leave up bits or leave fault lines on the ground on the indoor lanes because they probably do other classes or whatnot during the week or whatnot.
Well,
So,
so that is one thing. We actually can kind of leave some of the fault lines on the ground. So like all the targets, all the walls are taped on the ground. All the fault lines are taped on the ground, so they all get put back in the exact same spot.
mhm.
But then the other, big area in the back that just stays up. They don't
Right,
tear that
yeah,
down at all. So
right.
it's
That
just
makes
that
sense.
one bay. Just that one bay. They have everything marked in the floor to put all the targets back in the exact spot.
Okay, so they only use one bay of the regular lanes then.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's not terrible then. So that's the one thing they've got to rebuild between
Right.
today and next week. So not terrible
And
then.
that's one thing that we're able to make 3 stages out of just that one bay. So we can get a lot out of that one bay.
No, that is cool then. Definitely cool on that regard. So what does your training schedule end up looking like?
So a lot of it kind of depends on my travel schedule for work also,
Hmm.
because I pretty much live out of town. So it ends up being a lot of hotel dry fire.
Hmm.
Or like right now, I've been working over in Kokomo, Indiana for the last few months and staying with family over there. So it's been dry fire in my cousin's guest bedroom. Um, but I'll be able to find, some kind of an indoor range or something like that, or I'll hop on practice score and see if I can find like a little, outlaw league shoot or something like that. Um, like over in Indiana, every 2 weeks, one of the indoor ranges there does like a little like 6 stage outlaw match that I'll go and shoot there. But I dry fire probably 5 or 6 times a week, and I try to get at least one live fire in a week also.
Hmm. Even consistently throughout the winter, you tried to live fire at least once a week.
Yeah, and that's one of the things with Midwest is if all else fails, I can go in and I can shoot doubles, practical accuracy, strong hand weekend, all that kind of stuff, just even on a regular lane. Um,
Hmm.
that kind of limits the gun handling portion of it, but that's why we have dry fire anyway. So
Yeah, exactly. Now, so I'm assuming Midwest, if you qualify or pass a test, you get to draw from a holster and rapid fire. I'm assuming, correct?
they haven't done anything like that, at least not yet. I don't know if that's something that's in the works or not. We've kicked around the idea a few times,
Hmm.
um, but I think that's one where because it's grown so much, they're trying to figure out if it's something they can implement across all the different locations or not, and just how they would structure it. So as of right now, they haven't.
Hmm.
But that is one thing they do a lot of like private one-on-one training as well, and a lot of that is integrated into part of the training is a lot more of the gun handling aspects of it also.
Right. So if you decided to go shoot on a lane, they know that you're safe and you're good, so you can do pretty much whatever you need to do
Mm-hmm.
within reason.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the one benefit I do say I do like at Ann Arbor. You can pass a qualification if you're a member. You can pass
Mm-hmm.
qualification and be like, okay, you can draw from a holster. You can
Yeah.
shoot as fast as you want within reason.
Right.
Now, when stuck to a lane, are you kind of trying to use a target that's got multiple targets, or or do you throw like pasters up on the big piece of paper?
So I'll usually, depending on what I'm wanting to work on that day, I'll usually bring a couple like cardboard USPSA targets with me,
Hmm.
and I'll clip those up and I'll run it down. And I mean, there's times where I'll just do A zone practical accuracy at 25 yards. I've done head box practical accuracy at 25 yards, doubles, um, a Sharpie, and I'll mark off, different spots on the target for if I want to work on target transitions, even just simple things like trigger break exits, um, you know, leading with my eyes first, but little things like that.
Hmm.
Um, I can accomplish all that just on a regular lane. And that is kind of one thing that's nice about Midwest is even if the holster part of it is a little bit more restricted,
Hmm.
rapid fire in a sense is not. I mean, if you're demonstrating if unless an RO sees people doing something like super unsafe, they'll pretty much leave you alone.
Right. Yeah. I will say the one thing that I was at my local indoor place, having a little practice session with some outdoor dynamics ammunition. But um,
Mm-hmm.
no, it was these I'll call them ding dongs because they were absolute ding dongs. You know,
Yep.
it was a group of 3 dudes and a lady. She had never handled a firearm before. They're like, "Oh, you go shoot first." And like, boys, you're gonna test my patience here. I'm standing over here trying to get
Yep.
I'm getting my work on, and I'm just about, it's like, if she doesn't want to shoot, she doesn't really want to shoot, so just let her watch.
Yeah.
Like, and these guys
Yeah.
shooting at 5 yards, trying to shoot strong hand only, and they're freaking can't barely hit the paper. It's like, yeah. It's like, well, and of course I was in the members bay, so you knew there were members because they were in the members bay. And it's like, oh great, I've got to deal with this. But luckily I was against the wall, and then I had my open gun, and I was shooting my open gun indoors.
Oh no.
See, it's not bad. It's not bad behind the ears, or like even like if I'm shooting at like even at a match. Like I ask people, it's like, is it really that loud? They're like, no. My gun is very unique. It's loud, but it's not too loud. Unless if you're not right behind it, like in the blast zone, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
But I didn't tell them that, hey, it's gonna be loud here in a minute. So I just did like I didn't drop the holster because my wife was with me there, and I was just like, I just had the gun at low ready, and I just did a build drill as fast as I could, and I was just like, this is loud.
Flex a little bit
and be like, well, it's funny because and then at one point I kept pushing the target out farther and farther because it's on one of those speed button systems, so you just slap in the distance and it goes. So all right, we're starting at 7 because they were at 5. I went to 7. I was already at 7. Then I pushed it to 10. So then they moved it out to 10, and I was like, oh, so this is fun. But I got I didn't have a USPSA target with me, but I had a big piece of paper that was essentially a big B8, super blown up bullseye.
Right.
So I stuck pacers all along it just to be like, all right, I'm gonna aim over here, and then I'm gonna aim over here, So I just kept pushing the target out, and they were just like, oh. And then eventually I suckered them out to 25 yards, and they had no idea what to do.
There's definitely a love-hate relationship with indoor ranges because it's, you can go all year round. I mean, it doesn't matter that today it was 0 degrees with a negative 24 wind chill all day. If I want to bear the cold to my truck in the parking lot, I can go indoors and shoot. But everyone could go indoors and shoot. So you end up with you definitely end up with the ding dongs that, the safest place on the range is probably in front of their target. And
yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. But, luckily enough, my AMG timer still worked, so I was able to pick up, some splits or some transitions if I really felt like it. So I was like, okay.
There you go.
So, some training can be done other than, it's just like, it's the cool thing is that being a member, at least where I'm at, is you can have the lane and you can take a break and you can just go sit at the members lounge and just like chill and be like, maybe they'll eventually go away. Can go back to my lane.
Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely a perk of being a member is I can show up, I can be there, as long as there's not like a big wait list, I can pretty much be there as long as I want. I can wait the people out. And it doesn't cost me anything but my membership fee every month. So
yep, exactly. That's always a cool part too.
Pretty nice.
So going into we're in 2024 now. What matches are on your list so far?
So like I said, I'm going down to Florida in 2 weeks to shoot that match. I'm going to go do Leif's Kentucky state or sectional championship match this year. I wanted to get down to that one last year. I've heard nothing but good things about his majors that he does down there. So I'm going to finally make it down there this year. So I'm signed up for that. I'm signed up for Buckeye Blast. Thanks to John at Outdoor Dynamics. He got me into that match. I'm signed up for Area 5 this year. And then there's a couple others that are on my radar that I haven't signed up for quite yet. Just, kind of seeing how the work schedule plays out. But I would like to make it back to nationals this year. Illinois sectional was a fun one. I wouldn't mind going back to that one. So there's a few that I'd like to go do.
Yeah. No, yeah, there's some good ones. This will be my second year going to, so I see you're on 201, I see. So that'll be cool for Kentucky. I'll be there. I'll be hopefully I'm not on that bay. I don't want to be on that bay. Bay 1 is not my friend. No, so have you you've never been down to Kentucky, have you?
Never been down there, no.
So the first bay, Bay 1, stage 1, is a kind of, it's a 25-yard deep bay, about 15 to 20 yards, about 20 yards wide.
Okay.
The problem is the bottom of the back berm is higher in elevation than you are at the front of the bay. So, and it's also on rocks. It's a gravel surface, kind of like a little looser than like Cardinal.
Okay.
So the rocks can move, but you're typically, depending on how the stage is designed, it's probably a retreat or a lateral movement stage. So you're dealing with, that elevational change. So if you're coming
Mm-hmm.
backwards, you have a possibility of falling down. So this is the only bay I do not like, and I had to work that last year. Not that I'm complaining, Leif. If you listen to this, I'm not complaining about that bay. It's not my favorite bay, purely for that reason of people falling. They could if you have to go backwards, you could fall down. And I mean, I saw plenty of people fall down safely. I didn't see only one or two people. I had to go home. Only one person on that stage went home because they broke the 180 falling backwards.
Yep.
But that's the only reason I don't like that bay. Every other bay, they're flat and they don't have, and it's not like a ridiculous elevation. It's enough,
just a little bit,
where the ground does not aid you to retreat.
Yeah.
And that match is fantastic. Okay. It's typically a lower round count match, so it's not like you're not shooting 400 rounds in an 11 stage match. But
right.
I always recommend going to a Leif match. They're always good quality, thought through stages, no fluff, no filler. So I think you'll enjoy it. And you got a good squad. You have Sam and Jose on the squad. I don't see Janelle.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about that match. So I was kind of bummed I didn't get to go to it this year or last year. I think it was too close. It was either too close to Area 5 or it was too close to Nationals. One of the two.
It was the week
before I don't remember
Nationals.
Which one. Yeah, it was the week before Nationals. And I was already coming back into town from working in Missouri to shoot Nationals. So I was like, that's a lot of time to take off, just to come back so I can shoot that 2 weekends in a row. So missed out on it last year, but so far I'm signed up for it this year, and I should be able to make it as far as I know, looking at my schedule this year.
Well, that's good. That's always a good thing. So it's always good to get into some good matches. So that's always a great one to be in. Area 5's a little bit, you're signed up for Area 5, so that'll be closer to home because that's in Columbus. So it's not like you're driving all the way to Michigan. So
right.
Not complaining on that one at all. What else? I had another question on the top of my brain. I guess here's a decent question. What is something that current Trey would like to tell past Trey about shooting?
Oh, don't slow down. Don't slow down and get your hits. Stay on the gas for sure. Because like when I first started, I was kind of like I want to go fast. And it would cost me some points. I would be just as fast as a lot of the people that I was competing with that had been doing it for, a few years, but my hits would suffer. So I kind of fell into I just need to get points, which you do need to get points. But I definitely kind of, for a little bit, took that to a little bit of the extreme and kind of turned into a little bit of a turtle there for a little bit before, getting the kick in the ass and going, okay, you know how to shoot the center of the target. You have to go fast. So I would definitely say, stay on the gas. The alphas will come, because you have to learn to see and process at that speed anyway. You don't learn to see fast by going slow. It's just not how. Nobody has ever made their way into Formula One by driving the speed limit, and that being it. This is not how it works. So definitely stay on the gas for sure would be the best advice to me at B class for starting out listening to this now.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you have data of what like your average split is?
It depends. I think in a match setting, if I split quicker than like a 17 or an 18, it's kind of rare. Usually, pretty open targets. I mean, somewhere in like the 17 to 20 will be it, but they don't really fluctuate a whole lot outside of that. I mean, unless you give me some like crazy tight partial that I'm really, confirming each shot hard on. But that was one thing. I took Bob Vogel's class in the summer of 21 when I was really first starting to get into it. And obviously, most people listening probably know X amount of national championships, world champion, all this kind of stuff. That was the first person I took a pistol class from. And that was one of the big things that stuck out to me is he told me and everybody else that he's like, my hand, I mechanically cannot split a gun faster than 20. He's like, it just doesn't happen. I don't know why, but it doesn't happen. And obviously it hasn't exactly hindered him very much. So there's guys out there that have these crazy fast splits. I mean, Isaac is one of them. Billy Barton's one of them. It's these absolutely nasty splits. That I don't think necessarily rewards you a whole lot in a stage setting, which is really one reason why I haven't really worried a whole lot about them. For me, the 17 to 20, you know, I'm very comfortable there. I can call shots pretty easily there. I don't feel rushed or anything like that. So,
Right. And the most reason I asked that question purely is like, because you talked about visually processing it. So I was more curious on, okay, if that's your average split, typically, and you can visually see it, that's impressive, right? There's some people who can shoot a 17-18 split and have no recollection of what they saw. They just blah.
Right. Yeah. And that's where the issue comes in. Like if you can split it really, if your timer says 13, great. I mean, that's a skill that I've never seen. I don't know if I've ever seen 13 on a timer. Maybe I could probably count that on one hand. Where did both shots go? Do you know that both shots were alpha close Charlie?
Right. Yeah. And that's really, it's a vision and a grip thing, right? Like, yeah, you can sling the rounds pretty darn fast, but if you're not accurate on them, what's the point, right?
Right.
Because definitely splits do and don't get chicks, right? It's cool to show on the Instagram, but like, oh, I had 5 mics on the stage.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It doesn't get chicks when everybody who was watching knows what the hits were, but Instagram only knows the hits if you tell them. So.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't know, there was another program, and maybe even the Shooters Global program, that'll show you the split, like, it'll show you what the hits were or something on paper or something. Like, if it pulls practice score or it can see that far away, I don't know. It's kind of cool if it does.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. But, so my question is, how did you, and John, form a relationship? How'd you guys meet each other?
I got turned on to his ammo. I think it was by Sam that I got turned on his ammo. I don't quite remember. But basically, I bought so much of his ammo that he hit me up and was like, hey, I think first he sent me to the Michigan sectional. Then he sent me to Buckeye Blast this year. But basically, I just bought so much ammo from him that I kind of put myself on his radar, and that's how I got in touch with John.
Oh, well, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's good to be able to give back to the bit, to good people, and people who help support the business through dollars, right? I mean, if you use the code Manny, you do save 5% on your order. So just remember that for your next order, right? So, no, shameless plug for myself on that one. But yeah, no, and John's a good dude. Like, you ask, for me, myself, like I can ask him something. And he's like, yeah, absolutely, I can do something like that. Him sponsoring matches up here. I've got him in contact with other, match directors in my area too. So, So John's a good dude. I can't thank John enough for what he does for me and like people like you, and even in the shooting sports. That match fee might not be a lot in the grand scope, but it definitely helps save you some money. Like, the hotel and the food and the travel is going to kill you anyway. So
absolutely, yeah. Some of these matches, man, like nationals, can easily be $1,000 weekend if you're footing the entire bill by yourself. Right, very easily be $1,000 weekend.
Airbnbs are definitely your friend. Cooking probably at, your Airbnb is probably going to save you a lot of money. You just got to find people who are willing to cook and or not be picky ass bitches. I mean, nothing wrong with people who are picky eaters, but it's like you guys make life definitely difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a lot easier when you're not. That's for sure.
All right. It kind of also reminds me, I need to bug the guy who's supposed to be getting our Airbnb for Open PCC Nationals down in Talladega. Right? No, that's the way to really do it is, your Airbnb share. Yep. Unless you're one of those weirdos who has to stay in a hotel room by yourself, and then you're stuck eating that bill. But
yeah, I could take it or leave it.
Right now, for you, what does that drive to Cardinal from your house? What, an hour and a half still?
Probably hour 35, hour 45, depending on traffic.
Right,
that's not too bad.
So for nationals, you're going to find a hotel anyway, right?
Yeah. I had a hotel this year, and then I think for like Area 5 or Nationals, a bunch of us like me and Josh and Jose and probably a couple other people are going to look at like, renting one of the cabins down there. Or Josh just got an apartment down in Columbus, so I might even just see if I can crash there.
Oh, that's nice. So, okay. That's pretty cool. But yeah, definitely is like, the nice thing is if you came down, and you shot afternoon, right? So you were able to watch stages, in the morning.
Yeah.
I would not recommend. I would recommend still going the day before.
Yeah, definitely the day before for sure.
But even if you just were like, okay, I'm doing this as cheap as possible. You shoot PM, so you roll in the morning. You can watch shooting.
Yep.
and then you know just split a room or something. You know, you can make it decently cheap, but it definitely doesn't help. But anyway, I'm rambling
Yeah.
on and on. But as we're kind of getting near the end of the show, I do have a couple more questions for you.
Yeah.
I got this. I'm stealing this shamelessly from the Casual Shooters podcast. And JB, he loves asking this question, so he'll ask David to ask people this question. So Trey, what does your make ready look like?
Mostly visualization. Like I'll usually get a sight picture on, one of the targets just to make sure that not so much like trying to get a really fast draw or anything on the make ready. But mostly I'm just going through, making sure the gun feels correct in my hand, making sure that my index is correct, like my dot is landing where my eyes are. But mostly it's just like that one last visualization where I want to see my dot on the spot of the target that I want my rounds to go to. If it's open target, I want it center of the alpha. If it's, some kind of a partial, I want it center of the available target area. If it's a piece of steel, I want it on a spot in the center of the steel. And I'll go through basically the target order. If there's something really weird on a stage, like if there's, a very specific spot in the ground that I have to hit to avoid overrunning and underrunning a target, I'll put that spot in like my final visualization. But for the most part, generally speaking, it's just like in my head, seeing my dot on the spot that I want on every target one more time before I take my hand off the gun and go.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's very good. It's nice, you've got to get those visualizations and you want to see that spot. I mean, it's definitely a thing. Now, have you ever felt during a make ready, in a local or a major match, have you ever felt rushed to be, to get ready and get going?
I'm sure that the rush has probably been there, but I've been able to kind of tune everything else out. Once the make ready goes, I really don't care what's going on behind me. Like if they try to rush it or want to speed it up or whatever, maybe they've tried to. I honestly haven't paid attention. Once make ready goes, I am totally in my own little world until I go to unload and show clear.
Gotcha. That's good. That's definitely good. You're in that right mental space and you got to do what you got to do. Right. So,
yep.
I guess, let me see. We're to the last ones. So, do you actually have any legitimate sponsors? I mean, John's helped you out with some match fees here and there from sponsorship of like that, but do you have any like people you need to plug as well?
I don't have any full-time sponsors. I've just got, a lot of folks that have helped along the way. John's a big one, hooking it up with ammo and a couple matches now. Sam has been a huge help at Midwest. I mean, he bullied me into the sport in the first place, gave me the gear to shoot matches with to start out with, just gave me a fully set up belt to go with the Glock I had at the time, just enough to hook me into the sport. And has been a huge help ever since. If I ever need, weird stuff with a gun worked on that I've never done before, they'll call me over and do whatever we need to do. Big Dog Steel with the holsters. They've sent me out, a couple of them, full disclosure, I haven't paid for any of them. Both the prototype and that one were both given to me. But I would very much spend my own money on them. They're that good. So they've been a huge help. And then just guys that, I've taken information from, guys that have kind of helped push me to keep getting better.
Right. And that's always good too, right? People who help support you, support and make everything better.
Yep.
I guess my final question is, Trey, if people want to talk to you on the internet, what's the best way of doing that?
Probably my Instagram is the best way. I have a Facebook, but that's definitely like for private, like just, close friends and family. But my Instagram is public, that's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. At TC Ward Shooting, TC Ward _shooting.
Well, yeah, if you want to get a hold of him, stalk him on the internet. He doesn't post a lot, but he posts enough. So definitely check out Trey. As he mentioned, check out Outdoor Dynamics. Use the code Manny for 5% off your next order. I greatly appreciate you using that and supporting John and the shooting sports. Big Dog Steel making awesome holsters. And make sure if you see Dr. GM Sam Patel at a match, you tell him thank you. And you make fun of him you don't make fun of him, but you call him Dr. GM Sam Patel. He definitely does not like getting told that, but it's funny
No,
because he's
he
a
does
GM,
not.
he is a doctor, and he's a good dude. Sam's a great dude.
Yep.
Hopefully, maybe I'll convince him to come on the podcast at some point, but he's too humble and quiet to come on the show. But
Yep.
no, Trey, brother, thank you for coming on and chit chatting with me and talking about the shooting sports in your little neck of the woods of Ohio. Even though
Yep,
it's
absolutely. Thanks for having me.
no problem, even though it's lower than Michigan on the geography map, but it's okay. Guys, get out and do the things. I'll see you on the next one, and have a great night.